Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own, not to control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 756, Land Trust State. Definitely excited about doing this particular episode. We had a bunch of people reach out throughout the years about this particular topic. We've done over 700 episodes. We don't even remember if we did an episode about it. But we're just going to do another one because it comes up often sometimes. And, there's nothing wrong with doing this one because this is one of the ones that you hear a lot in the States. It's like this one and the Living Trust. So we've done episodes about the Living Trust recently. We're going to do an episode about this one right now, which is, oh yeah, do I live in a land trust state? So we're not legal counsel, we're not financial, we're trustees just like you. Everybody want to be a trustee, right? Okay, great. So let's have that conversation as a trustee, whether that's in the public, because it's public trust, right? And it's private trust. Okay, so we can still talk about it in the public. That's the difference. And when you have the experience, you can actually talk about it from both perspectives. So we're going to talk about it from just the perspective of where if you're in the public and they say, oh, this is a land trust state. Okay, what does that mean? What do you mean it's a land trust state? So the land trust state is a state supposedly it's going to be easy to put land in. What are you talking about? So are you saying every state doesn't have the ability to do that? Some states making it harder than others? Not necessarily. But you have people that want to portray this information as, oh yeah, there's a land trust state. We had even one of mentors. We don't need to argue them down. We're talking sense, which is to a degree supposed to be common sense, but they want to sit here and tell you from a wealthy person's perspective, or their wealthy mindset perspective, that, oh yeah, this is the way you're supposed to do it. No, that's not the case. Or there's only certain states that have land trust states. Okay, so what are you saying? Trust can't operate in all the states? What are you talking about? Can a trust hold land in all the states? Yeah, so what are you talking about? It's a land trust state. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of the myth. Oh yeah, this is a land trust state. We're gonna go ahead and bust a few bubbles, hurt a few people's feelings. Oh yeah, maybe people's pockets. Oh yeah, trust Christian, there's a land trust state. How is there a land trust state, ladies and gentlemen? There is no. They tried to come up with a term called the land trust states. You would like to think certain states are more favorable for land trust states. Then you get into these different states. What's that other term they call it? Oh yeah, homestead. So what are we saying here? Oh, the government can never take this property out of your hands. Okay, so does the government own charities? No. Do charities own property? Yeah. So the government's not going to take over the property then. How are they going to take over the property you have then? If it's private, without the government. So we're going to continue with this conversation. So, yeah, a lot of people are coming to the vault. Oh, trust Christian. I want to. What is it? Oh yeah, I'm gonna put my property in a land trust state. Isn't this a land trust state? We're gonna go ahead and say it might sound polarizing or controversial. Oh, trust Christian. You're saying there's no such thing as a land trust state. In 2026, ain't no such thing as a land trust state. A lot of people don't even want to know. A lot of the states are operating off of admiralty law, maritime law. People are afraid of this type of stuff. It's like, yeah, these are the various different law systems that are out. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the jurisdiction that you're in or that's the jurisdiction that you're dealing in, but there are various different jurisdictions. So when we talk about the jurisdictions of the states in each individual state, and now all of a sudden this state's supposed to be a land trust state over this other state supposed to be a land trust state, what are you talking about? All of them you could hold property in the state with a trust. So how is not every state a land trust state? That's where they got it over on people. So then people stop thinking they could maybe move in this type of fashion. That's perfectly fine. Okay? So it's a land trust state. It's only a few of these states that supposedly it's a land trust. What does that mean? People don't even want to know what it means. We're going to go ahead and share what it means with y'all. It means that the government in that local area has come up with an entity. You can go get it at the local law library. You can actually get a copy of what they call a land trust in that state. Whatever state you say you're in and they're purporting to be a land trust state, if it's a land trust state, wouldn't they, for the lawyers, the accountants, for the attorneys, wouldn't they have the, the template, the document that would show what are the public laws that are supposed to be inside of it at the law library? So if you live in Illinois, we're not even going to name states because you just don't want to do it. But there's a lot of states out here talking about, oh, it's a land trust state. So if it's a land trust state,
What are they saying? The government favors these entities in those areas. That's fair. Doesn't separate the fact that there are still private entities operating in that area, but they want to tell people in the public this is a land trust state, and they have an entity that they promote, and they like to talk about it, and they like dealing. It's like, oh, why do we go to Delaware for all the corporations and go on Fortune 500s? Because the laws protect the owners there. They protect the privacy of the owners there. There's minimal disclosures. You have to sue the entity. The entity is set up in Delaware. These are various different things. That's why they're set up in that jurisdiction. Okay, so does that mean that you can't set up? Why y'all think now people are moving to Wyoming and we're not promoting to stay here? Oh, why are people moving to these other places? Because they've fallen for it. The state, quote unquote, has started making appropriations or laws, and they passed, codes that they can put in a contract that they can regulate and govern it, whether that's corporations or whether that's trusts or land trust. They have a law now that states, okay, this is how land trust should be operating in this area. It doesn't say private land trust operate in this area. It says public land trust operate in that area. That's how it goes. No one wants to distinguish that though. Is it a public land trust or a private land trust? Well, we don't know that. I didn't know that that could be a real thing. It is. So it isn't a, oh, well, trust Christian. I know it all because I heard of land trust and that's all I know. Yeah, there's also public and private. So when we go down the line now, oh yeah, I'm in the land trust state. Okay, so are you aware that there are private ones? No, no, I didn't know that. I don't know nothing about that. Exactly. But you understand here and say that this is a land trust state. It's not a land trust state. Every state is a land trust state. That's gonna go. We're gonna say it for the record, and anyone that wants to dispute it, they can bring up the argument. Why? Because every state is allowed to have a trust in it. Now we not quoting the states. We're not giving law for the states. What we're talking about is the facts, the reality, which is what state don't allow you to have a trust in it. Yeah, let's make that point. Because the states allow you to operate in trusteeship. So if you operating in trusteeship in various different states, what are they talking about? It's a land trust. So when the trustees or people come on the line, oh, Trust Christian, talk to you about this land trust stuff, man. It's like, okay, are you talking about it from the public perspective or are you talking about it from the private perspective? Because there's a public perspective and there's a private perspective. People might not want to hear, is it a secret society? Is it an elite group of people? Of course it is. Most people just don't want to join the club. Why? Because they don't want to lead a public life. They don't want to leave the public things behind. It might not sound as easy as said as done. It's just bottom line. They don't want to get behind closed doors and learn they got to keep their mouth shut now. That's just the bottom line. They don't want to know that. Just don't want to know that. They don't want to hear that, oh, I really have to adhere to what's considered privacy now. I'm not just going to be, popping it for the internet. I'm going to be private. Okay, great. Land trust state though. We're gonna stick to that conversation right now. Appreciate Jersey for tuning in live, listen to replay. Always appreciate New Jersey for tuning in live, listen to replay. Shout out to New Jersey. If you tune in live or listen to replay, feel free to type into the chat where you tune in live, listen to replay from. If you got any questions about this, that's cool. We know people that live in New Jersey, and a bunch of we've done workshops up there before. So you end up meeting people in these places, and they think, oh man, this isn't a land trust state. Well, okay, if you can hold property in a trust, how is it not a land trust state? That's just a term. That's why they say it's over 80 different types of trust. So, okay, if it's over 80 different types of trust, then clearly we're not talking about what's just considered a land trust state. And that's the challenge. People get locked on this little information on the internet and start paying attention to one piece of information or thinking that, hey, if I get this information, it's going to be super helpful. But in all actuality, it's a system. It's a system. So, okay, here you go. If you get into the land trust state, are you going to still own the property? No, the trust owns it. Okay, so who owned the property before the trust? You did. And who's the trustee? You did. So technically, you didn't give up anything. All you did was try to put it into an entity. Now, we're not saying you did that illegally. We're not saying that at all. But once again, if they're saying you can do that through a land trust or a living trust in the public, that's what they try to say. Well, if that's the case, then we would be looking at what? We would be looking at that information and saying, okay, what state doesn't allow you to do that? And there is no state that doesn't allow you to do that. Bottom line. People might want to hear that. Once again, the ones that call themselves land trust states, they're usually just a little bit more favorable and they have laws more publicly readily available. Somebody said they always see public land trust signs along old county highways. Of course. And so that's just the times that we're in, where you can see that information is, you know, if you don't know it the right way, then you think, oh, this is the holy grail. You think, oh, I gotta live in a land trust state to put my property in trust. So then that's the thing too. The ones that aren't living in the land trust states, they, oh man, there's no land trust. There ain't no living trust, Christian. I can't just put my property in trust because I still got a mortgage on it. Y'all want to go there? Because that's what people be saying. Oh, trust Christian, I'm trying to put my property in a trust, but I got a mortgage on it. I don't know how to do that. Okay, you got to get a consultation. It's not saying it can't be done. You let the attorneys on the public side get put you into a living trust, right? Y'all want to go there? They'll let the attorneys on the public side put you in a living trust. Oh, don't you can't put it in trust. You still got mortgage payments. You might as well put that on your will. Just go ahead and name it on your will. What? What? See, Trust Christian never really came at the attorneys. Why? Because Trust Christian works with attorneys. But it could sound like we're getting at the attorneys. Because they're very structured in their approach towards what you would call yourself the common man. And until you are in a position of trustee mindset, then you know, okay, we hired the attorney, so we know how to get them to research the laws and find the laws that are for our benefit, X, Y, and Z. So they are helpful. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the land trust itself. First of all, anything that an attorney can find for you, you can go to the law library and get. You can go to the law library and get everything. But oh no, no, who you need to interpret the information because you don't know the language. You don't know what a land trust is fully. Don't know what maritime law is. Don't know these things. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with those things. You can learn. So you learn these things. Okay, I learned about what maritime is. I learned about what this is. Okay, you learned about it. That's what you did. You heard about it. Okay, who do you have to help you execute it? That's where a team comes into play. Because people think, oh, I'm supposed to get in land trust, but I ain't gonna have no team. I'm gonna just do it myself. Once again, that's not a wealth mentality, okay? There's no wealthy person that's by themselves. They might be independently wealthy, but there is no wealth by yourself. So, hey, if you want to be wealthy by yourself, great. You can be wealthy by yourself. But if you understand that wealth actually comes from working with other people, having other people around, enabling other people, being of value to other people, there's various different things when it comes to people. It's not just yourself. Land trust days. So we just wanted to come on, do a quick episode for the audience and let them know about this land trust stuff, because we make episodes and then we send them to the trustees that are gone through trustee training and stuff of that nature, people that have asked about them, because of course this is a big topic. Oh man, Trust Christian, I haven't put my property in a trust yet, so I was thinking about doing it, and it probably should do a land trust, because the land trust is what you're supposed to do it in, right? That's let's put it in a land trust, right? It's no one way. But then here we go. Think about it. You're in the public asking a private question. This is the challenge. This is how you know you first generation woke, because you don't have all the answers. The previous generation would have solved some of these problems and gave out these answers to you already. When you have a challenge, you go to your family accountants, go to the family lawyers, go to these family representatives. That's who you would go to and ask them these type of questions. How should I be making a move out here when it comes to, moving and acquiring either more assets or acquiring property or X, Y, and Z? And they'll say, okay, we're going to make sure you're set up. We're going to make sure you're in the right position. Okay, so now you're in the right position, then you can move properly. And even if you're not in the right position, you get in the right position. Oh, I got to go find these people that Trust Christian is talking about. I got to either connect with Trust Christian. I got to reach out and find out who these people I need to be connected with in this particular space that can help me execute. Not everybody can help you execute. You working with specialized players. Oh man, Trust Christian, I want to do something private, but I'm not gonna get around the private people. Okay, well, how you think you're gonna execute? Now you know. Now trustees know why they're having such a challenging time in the public. If you're having a challenging time, why are you having a challenging time in the public? Because you're dealing with public people. You're not dealing with private people. Private people understand the language that you're talking about when you talk about privacy. They understand the language that we're talking about when they say, okay, trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. They understand that. They understand that there's no question in their mind. They're not sitting here asking you. Like, we got trustees, they go to the bank and the bank will say, well, why does everything set up that way? First of all, that's how you know you ain't holding yourself together properly. For these people at the financial institution or wherever to say, well, how is it set up that way? First of all, you're the trustee. You're just there to do your job. You're not there to be talking about everything. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you the story or everything. No, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna say, that's what it is. Is something wrong? But oh no, I don't want to talk like that, Trust Christian. Yeah, so you let them tell you, start asking you questions, and you feel obligated. You gotta answer the question. Talking about, oh yeah, well I'm trying to be private. First of all, and we're gonna go ahead and tell y'all this. First of all, you're not in the public telling them you operate out of a private trust. That's just bottom line. We're gonna put it out there for the record. People say, oh man, Trust Christian, you know, I'm telling people I got a private trust. Thank you. That's how you know you're not private. And that's how you know you don't have the right mindset. And we can say that for the record and on the episode. That's just bottom line. We understand how challenging it is to move as a trustee when you really go private. Because you're supposed to keep your mouth shut. So once you keep your mouth shut, then you're not going to be out in the public telling people you even in a trust. So then you understand the importance of getting around people in trusteeship. Oh, Trust Christian, that's what it is? That's my secret? That's my block? Yeah, you're not around people that speak the same language as you, that don't have the same mindset as you. It's hard for you to hear because you don't want to know. You said you was going trusteeship and privacy, and you got to act that way just as much as just, it's the substance and the form. It's not, oh yeah, I just got a trust contract and I'm going to put assets in it and I'm not really going to ever have a meeting. I'm not ever going to go and be around other people that have this type of mentality as well. I'm only going to be around people that are dependent upon me. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with having people around you that depend on you. What the question is are you continuously getting around the right people that can help you fortify the system so it can outlive you? So when they sit on here on the internet and talk about, oh yeah, I'm going generational wealth in the land trust, how you gonna go generational wealth in the land trust? You don't have the right manager set up for the next generation. What you talking about? There are certain families that we've heard about in the early 1900s that they were able to perpetuate their wealth, and there are ones that didn't. That's just bottom line. People know this. They hear about, oh man, that family fell off. Y'all hear about athletes running through a lot of money. That's generational wealth. You make over $50 million in an athlete contract. That's some real money, man. 25, 30, $50 million, some real money. And they blowing through it sometimes. That's real money. Even if it went back to the government, half of it in Texas, they still making over $25 million. Oh man, they got a lifestyle to upkeep. Ain't nobody make them do that. Do they have the right mindset around them to be in a land trust? First of all, we could talk about this. Think about this. We'll give you an easy example of how you're not protected in the land trust. There are two athletes that we can talk about. This is for the public record. The public record where Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes got robbed. These guys are Super Bowl championship players. You would think they have some sophisticated people around them. How do you have sophisticated people around you? And then next thing you know, that first of all, your name's on the house. Y'all want to go there? Let's talk. How do people know that this is your house? Granted, people can do a lot of research. There's a lot of research people can do. But your name is on the deed. Your name's on public record for ownership of the house. So did the attorneys and the agents, and did they put you in a land trust? Oh, we're going to put it in a land trust. You own a land trust because you could take it out of the trust at any moment and you can have it in your name again when you sell it. Stupid stuff that they tell people if they tell them that. Okay, so they got robbed because the house was in their name. That's how important the difference between knowing public and private land trust or not is. That's what it comes down to. Having the right people around you. Having the right people around you. Having the information that you need. That's the difference. Oh man, first of all, if y'all go Google how much that man's contract is, he's making over $50 million. in a 3 to 5 year period. That means you are actually you're worth more than gold, clearly, and on paper, your contract, quote unquote, is that's high net worth investor status. You technically are an investor. Everything about you is an investment. You're literally a Lloyd's of London insurance policy. That means they may even put a policy on you or your life that may be 3 to 5 times. We won't judge for it. We won't put out there for the insurance companies what they would put. They'll at least give you double the contract and value insurance wise. We're not going to speak for Lloyd's of London, speaking for any insurance company. We're speaking from the perspective of understanding where we're on the private side. And when you have a certain amount of money and you have a certain amount of income, you have a contract that you can prove. Of course, there should be a certain level of security. Of course, there should be a certain level of wealth administration. But y'all want to know the real challenge is? This is the difference between an employee mindset, an employee contract, and an entrepreneur concept. This is the hardest challenge for people to get. That's the hardest challenge for people to get. That's just being honest with y'all. Because are you an employee? Are you thinking like an employee? Or are you thinking like an investor? Not even just an entrepreneur, an investor. Are you actually doing things like an investor? Because a lot of people don't understand it. That yeah, as an investor, oh man, you think about it. At one point, the bank's charging you to keep the money in there. They already charging you to keep the money in there. That's why they don't really like having large amounts of money in the bank from individuals. But when you talk about companies, institutions, trusts, then there's a different type of finance that's going on. That's just bottom line. And y'all know that. So we're going to go ahead and keep it on topic. Once again, land trusts, they come off. People try to say, oh yeah, we know this, we know that. Well, if you know it, which one is it? Public or private? Because clearly, if you think, oh man, if I made $25 million, that would happen to me. It happened to a professional athlete. What are you talking about? It happens. We sit in rooms where, hey, wealthy people, multiple generations, they giving us security plans on how you get out your car. Security plans if you see somebody following you, some lights following you down the street. Don't always go in the driveway. All type of stuff. Make sure you don't, make sure you don't get out the car until the gates close or something. It's all type of practices that you practice when you have real money. But hey, how many people are acting like that? It's easy nowadays to just sit on the internet and listen to a whole bunch of, oh man, get in a land trust, go to Delaware, open up a corporation, go to Wyoming, open up a corporation. Ain't nobody talking about opening up a corporation in Dubai. It's a few people on the internet, we know a few of them, but it's only a few people talking about you to open up a corporation in Dubai. Ain't nobody going to encourage you to open up a corporation in Dubai. Most of the people in the public, that don't even make sense to most people. They don't want to tell you that. They don't want to tell you to open up companies in tax havens. Oh yeah, that the government doesn't like that. The United States doesn't like that. Well, okay. So why are you doing that in the States? But you're saying the States don't like that. It's because there's a lot of misinformation out here. But we're going to go ahead and tell you that's the way it is. It's just misinformation. Open up a company in this jurisdiction. Most people don't even know what jurisdiction you're supposed to open it up in, but we'll tell we share with trustees, people reach out. It just depends. There's various reasons why you do or don't do, but a lot of it's very independent because you're usually going to open it up in a jurisdiction, and that's the difference. People don't really understand it. The private system is alive and well. Oh man, there ain't no private system. Like, what do you talk about? Y'all sit on the internet, listen to people talking about they got private companies, and that's on the public side. Oh, we got a private corporation. Like, it could be considered an oxymoron, but somehow people on the public side can say, oh yeah, there are private corporations. All right, so if it's a private corporation, what makes it private? Y'all want to talk? Let's have these conversations. But it's not that they're too intelligent for people. It's just, hey, some people, they want to live in cognitive dissonance. They don't really want to know that they could actually be the master of their fate and come up with a plan and actually deliver value to the world and actually be what they want to be. Huh? Why don't they want to be that? Because then they know, oh man, I got to change some of my ways. I actually have to lift my head out the dirt. I can't think like a victim. I can't think that the government's against me anymore. Oh, the government's against me. Everybody wants to sit here and talk about the government's against you. First of all, if the government is against you, that means the system's not going to work for you. You think this is oh man, the system sucks, but it's going to work for me. No, the system's not going to work for you. The system is going to work for the ones that actually know how to use the system.
The system is made for entrepreneurs. It's a sorry wake-up call. Oh, trust Christian, really? How is it not? Ain't no employee wealthier than the entrepreneur or an investor. So how you gonna sit here and say the system is set up for them? It's not. The system is set up for you to exploit your talents and your abilities. And when you exploit your talents and your abilities, value is presented. The system is based off of exchange of value. Oh man, people get into this. Oh, there's no such thing as money. No one's saying you can't barter. No one's saying you can't barter. But oh no, it's all man. Yeah, I don't want to have to deal with the money because it's not my money and all this other stuff. Right. Don't understand mediums of exchange. That's all it is. It's just a medium of exchange. So once you get to that place where you're, oh man, I'm going to utilize this system. They trying to, what y'all want to do? Oh man, the system, what is the system built off, Trust Christian? What is it built off? The system is built off of, predicated off of your fear, of you being scared of the system, of you being scared of paper, because you fell out of your divinity. You don't understand the difference between paper and a human being. You don't understand the difference. Because if you did, you wouldn't say, oh, I have a name. How do you have a name? Having means implied ownership. And a name is an entity. You can look it up in a legal dictionary. So when you want to talk about I got a legal name or I'm operating out of a legal name, then you're operating out of a business entity. That's what it is. But did the government tell you that? Did the system tell you that? The school teacher tell you that? No. Why would they tell you that? Did the Democrat tell you that? No. Why would they tell you that? It's private information. It's not public information. Public information is for individuals that want to depend on the system. They feel like, man, I don't have enough. They're coming from a defeated mentality. They're coming from a not have mentality. And in turn, there is a general welfare system set up. It's to make that y'all don't even want to know. It's a damn near is a system of it's a population control. So what makes you think that the system wants you to stay sucking on its tit? It don't. It just doesn't. And so when people get upset about the way the system is set up, oh man, they don't give me enough money for Social Security. They don't give me enough money to live off this, that, and the third. So you're expecting the government to give you something? And that's the challenge. That's the challenge. Government is supposed to let you know that there's such thing as private trust operating, private land trust operating. Government is supposed to let you know that. The public one that's trying to protect people from the private because they think the private is rather ruthless, incredulous. Think about it. They got a term for it in the public. It's called crony capitalism. That's what it looks like. People are putting in plastic in food to cut the food up so it can last longer. Things like that. They understand that they're not going to eat it. They may not use the product or service, but they'll let you buy it. They'll let you use it. Like we were sitting in front of some very well off people recently. And this is so true. Because a lot of y'all doing this. Y'all even say, oh, Trust Christian. Well, what about you? You be on the internet talking. We're going to go ahead and tell you then. Alright. So we were sitting in a room the other day. And well off individual said, yeah, I remember when I was first coming up. They said, yeah, don't do what billionaires say, do what billionaires do. And we were sitting there and we smiled on the inside because a lot of billionaires be sitting on the internet and they be telling people stuff they're not doing, and then no one wants to hear this. Oh man, you should get 8 hours of sleep. Look, if you think a billionaire is getting 8 hours of sleep, you probably not even get 8 hours of sleep and you ain't got no damn money. So how you gonna sit here and think a billionaire is managing all of this stuff? You think they just ran up on the billions? No, they're managing it. It's a manager that's managing the money. Like, and that's just the reality of it. People think that, oh yeah, they don't have systems in place and things of that nature, and they do. They'll be telling you stuff like, oh yeah, man, they just be making out stuff, man, and people don't want to hear that. You'll be like, oh man, so how do I trust it? Well, okay. Do y'all know any billionaire employees? Y'all want to go there? Do y'all know any billionaire employees? Why are we still celebrating employees celebrating getting college degrees if the billionaires are not that? But oh no, Trust Christian, we should give a little bit of credit because they're trying to what? Not fail? What they are? You don't really fail. You just live a life of quiet desperation. You don't really fail. You at any moment you could stop being an employee, be an entrepreneur. You could be an investor. You could be a trustee. Oh man, Trust Christian, how am I gonna be a trustee? I ain't got no assets. That's the problem. Your mindset is in lack. You are the asset. You are supposed to produce value for the family estate. Figure out your talents and your abilities. Figure out how you can give value. Exchange and get value. Receive value. You're not just supposed to give away value, you receive value. Oh, Trust Christian, what is that you talking about? What you going all over the place, man? What you mean don't do what billionaires say, do what they do? Okay. Y'all know most of the billionaires built the businesses. So you gotta build a business. The only thing is, you don't want to hear that a lot of billionaires done failed a lot of businesses. That's the wild part about it. Man, that's the wildest part about it. That's probably the most ugliest truth I think. That's a hard pill for people to swallow. How many businesses did that man fail at or did she fail at before they struck it rich? They didn't strike it rich the first time. Did you? What you mean did they strike it rich the first time? Did you? No. So it ain't no did they strike it rich the first time. But that's the point. People think that's what it is. They actually wish and hope. If he struck it rich the first time, that means I don't have to do it. Why? Because I know I'm not going to strike it rich the first time. Exactly. Because you know, because deep down inside, you ain't going to strike it rich the first time. You ain't going to step outside and say, oh man, I'm going to open up a business for the family. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I got the family good. I'm going to go ahead and make the sacrifice or do whatever I got to do. Right. They're not going to do it. They're not going to step out on faith. They're not going to step out and look, oh man, see what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and drop this and then hop off. We were sitting around some entrepreneurs the other day. First generation, they were like, man, I missed like 7 years worth of Christmases and Thanksgivings. Like, man, missed 7 years worth of birthdays. Like, this sounds unreal. Everybody want to call themselves family oriented. Oh, I'm family oriented, Trust Christian and Vault. Yeah. See, we telling y'all the stuff that, oh man, if I gotta do that, I don't want the money. Go ahead and say it. That's all it is. Go ahead and say it. Trust Christian, if I'm not gonna spend time for, well, if I gotta miss family birthdays and holidays, I'm not trying to be wealthy. Exactly, because you don't understand that with the money comes the management. Some people they think, oh yeah, you don't have to do all of that. All right, great, but we're around it, ladies and gentlemen. We're around it. We're sitting in the rooms that you try to say, oh yeah, I don't know these people. I don't know the family last names. We sit in rooms where the last name is actually like, that's the first name at this point. It's just the last name. We're not talking about first names now. We're talking about last names. It's just, oh yeah, X, Y, and Z is X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z is X, Y, and Z. Right. We're not talking about any of that. And so, hey, well, a lot of people not trying to hear that. Oh, Trust Christian, man, I'm gonna be generational wealth. Generational wealth? What are you talking about? You still ain't had a family meeting. You think this is something you could just play with. Even if you don't have a family meeting in person with everybody, you still gotta have a family meeting by yourself in the beginning and then build out the team. But see, people think this supposed to take a lifetime to build out. Oh, it's gonna take me forever to build out generational wealth in the land trust. First of all, see, that's the part you don't hear. It depends on your mindset. There are people that start out with a land trust when they go acquire the land. That's one person. Then there's another person that they have the land and they're trying to put it in a land trust. Do you hear the difference? Some people are more prepared in life. But when you find out the information, whether y'all know it or not, this is the reality. Some elites are competitive. That's a real word. Some elites are competitive. So, billionaires, they'll give you bad information. They'll tell you something, but they doing something completely different. Exactly. It's just the reality. Oh man, Trust Christian, ain't no way the billionaires be telling lies. You damn straight. They gonna tell you something so you don't become a damn billionaire. Because they're competitive. Do you hear that? They're competitive. They believe in that. And so for that reason, when you're engaging out here, you gotta watch the way you once again, you gotta, it's just reality. You don't want to know that because you're not in the room yet. But it doesn't matter if you're in the room or not. You cannot pay attention to what you think is a billionaire saying something. You have to watch what they're doing. If you're gonna do real research, you say, okay, what businesses on the public record do they have that they have, like somebody put in the chat, Shaquille O'Neal. We're not gonna talk bad about Shaquille O'Neal. He's people's childhood hero. But at the same time, once again, you're not supposed to pay attention to what they say. Pay attention to what they do. There's a difference between having partial ownership and then having leadership. There's a difference between majority controlling interest and partial interest. There's a difference where you can get kicked off of voting shares because you don't have majority shares, and you could lose your shares. You hear that? Y'all sitting here talking about, oh yeah, I want to own a team. So you own a team in the leagues, but a few of these leagues, they can kick you out the league as an owner. So how you own it? You don't. But you think, oh yeah, I'm an owner. You're not an owner. Let go of this thought process. You're never an owner. Even people in them situations, it's an association. Don't they call it the association? Correct. So it's not ownership. But because we're in the public, that's the terms that we use so we can make people pay money and not really understand what they're doing. That's the reality. It's an association, correct? But then how is it an association, but then you don't have full ownership? You don't have ownership. The teams don't even own the stadiums they playing in. But y'all want to talk about he's an owner. Owner of what? How are they the owner? See, I don't really want to know. This is basically just big money moving into marketing. Y'all all know that all this stuff is built around marketing. The land trust. We could pivot that into the sports. The land trust is what the companies buy and put. First of all, the teams don't own the stadium. Who owns this? Who owns the land that the stadium is sitting on? The land trust. The public land trust. Why? Because the sports franchise is a land trust operating entity. It has to operate within that structure. They don't own the stadium. The sports team doesn't own the stadium, so they're operating within a land trust structure, just like you would think you are. And it's actually we're not. And some people might think we're talking bad about land trust, but clearly y'all can see a land trust at scale is actually not bad. So we didn't in this episode want to demean or talk down about what is that a land trust. We're not talking about a land trust. We're not saying it's bad. We're just saying, okay, there's public and there's private. Y'all see that these sports franchises are what? Public. But the association is what? Private. Oh, so there's private associations? Right. Y'all don't want to know how in the public private people are. They're just operating within the structures that allows you to make you give away your money, but they're private. And you might be public. Well, trust Christians. Do private people stay in the private? Of course. Y'all don't even know. We were we were with this person. This is how you know your money is different. And when we say different, that number, it might seem hard to believe. Like, ain't no way, trust Christian. This is a small thing to somebody that has the proper means. We were around. This individual got a gas station at their house. And we sitting here thinking like, a gas station? Yeah, this is a pretty big estate. But a gas station? A gas pump at your house? Now it might seem, well, it's not a big deal, or it might seem that might be a little bit much, trust Christian. But the reality is that's what we're talking about. So when you talk about land trust, the gas station is in a land trust. because it's actually a hazard. Y'all know it's a hazard. It's oil. It's you gotta have licenses, all type of stuff. You holding oil. You holding basically a flammable thing that could destroy many things. Like it could get real ugly. So yeah, of course, simple stuff. So we wanted to do an episode today, really highlight some things that people just share with them some of the things that we've encountered being in the private sector, and just go over this stuff with people because this is one of those episodes where we do have quite a few trustees that they bring up this land trust thing, and we sharing with y'all in the public what we talk about. Hey, oh, trust Christian. What are you doing in the private all day? We talk to people about this type of stuff. That's what we talk about. We talk to people. We talk with people about this type of stuff. Talking about private land trust. We're not sitting out here talking about who just won an NBA championship. That's the wildest part. We don't even know who won the NBA championship, but we definitely know how a land trust work. Y'all hear the difference? That's the difference where your mindset is supposed to be. It's tough for people to hear this type of stuff. Oh, trust Christian, what you trying to say? I can't have a personal life, but your personal life is tied to other people's life, and knowing their statistics on how they what's their field goal percentage, and not on okay, what's our family's measurable results over the past however many years and moving forward the next few years, and how we moving forward today, tomorrow, however else. It's just those things are always overly calculated. Why? Because they not brought up in a system like that. And if you think that you gonna get some money like these athletes or whoever, and that's gonna just automatically throw you into the well pool where you in a land trust and you're fully protected, once again, y'all, it's weird because a lot of it's weird because a lot of the athletes are getting robbed. It sucks, man. It really does suck. It sucks to see some of people's childhood heroes. We remember when one of the major athletes got killed off of it. Usually they just get robbed nowadays when they're not there, but there have been athletes that have really passed away because the robbers thought they weren't home because the athlete was injured and at a home, and a team was on an away game, and this happens, ladies and gentlemen. And it sucks because these are children, these are people's heroes. These are people that they look up to, these people and things of that nature. But then when y'all want to sit here and say, oh, trust Christian, what value do you present to the marketplace? We telling you straight up. First of all, if the attorneys around them aren't telling them to put their assets inside of a land trust to at least get it out of their name, then y'all already know just because you making that type of money does not mean that you're going to get that information and you're going to know how to execute it. That's just bottom line. That's just bottom line. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening, or replay. But we talk about this type of stuff with people once we do get in front of them, and we talk about land trust stuff and stuff of that nature. But it's so much information. How do you talk to the people about it when they don't even know about it sometimes? So they're coming from a different type of place. Athletes been practicing for their sport, so that's why they have a team. They have a financial blah 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 and X, Y, and Z, this person, that person, right, to handle those things. But it lets you know, just because they have that money, once again, we're reiterating, just because they have those size contracts, it does not justify the talent that they have around them. And you would think that, oh man, this guy is a great talent. He's been an agent for years. He's an agent, but you supposed to be the best agent in the league. You supposed to be one of the best agents. Let you tell it, but somehow your athletes is getting robbed. Let's talk. You're unqualified at this point. You can't protect your athlete's assets, let alone how you gonna protect the athlete. But people don't want to hear this type of stuff. Oh, trust Christian, it just happens. No, it doesn't just happen. The owner of the team ain't getting robbed because it's protected. So can we have a conversation with the owner? Oh man, he's the owner of the business. He don't gotta do that. Nah, y'all, people don't really want to hear this. That's why the leagues are set up the way they are. Because if they really were trying to look out for the interests of the athlete, there's no way the athletes would be able to get robbed. Bottom line, it doesn't matter if you're an employee and you can get cut. We get it. You can get cut. We get it. Like, you can get cut at any time. But at the same time, the athletes are so much of an investment. They're bringing so much revenue into the company that, once again, okay, you think about this. If somebody does something to one of their family members, one of the family members of one of the athletes on the road, when they play an away game, that could make, hey, the athlete might say, I don't want to play here ever again. I don't want to do this sport no more. I'm done. I'm taking a break for the rest of my life. I'm done. Do you know how much revenue that could take away from one of these sports teams? Just because one of their top athletes got something happen to one of their loved ones, because the loved ones aren't protected, because
which I don't want to hear, or people may not want to hear, which we can definitely say it. It's the reality. First of all, it ain't that many of these guys on the team. So, sir, somebody could make an excuse. Oh, it's a lot of guys. It's not. First of all, you giving somebody 200. First of all, you giving them. You're giving them a accredited investor income. So once you understand that they're accredited investors are focused on privacy. Sure, anybody can say, "Oh yeah, weren't the athletes on the private side of the bank? They making all this money." Yeah, I don't want to hear about this guy named. If we say his name not completely right, it is what it is. But there's this guy. His name's Giannis Antetokounmpo. This guy said he had over 31 bank accounts. Now, does that sound intelligent? It sounds intelligent to somebody that ain't got no money, but somebody that understands wealth. We're not saying you shouldn't put money in multiple holes, but first of all, look, granted, there's thousands of banks. So what's that supposed to mean? You're supposed to put the money in 1,000 banks and spread it out. You're supposed to try to keep your money under the $250,000 minimum at the bank so you can keep it insured like a Rufus Doofus. Instead of understanding that once you cross that threshold, you actually do go to a private side and the money is still insured at a higher level. Not just through the bank, because the bank is backed by an insurance company, and the insurance company is actually the ones that are insuring the bank. Right. It's simple. Not as easy as it sounds. But we do our best to come on and share with people and have general candid conversations because it is what it is. The facts are the facts. The teams don't own the stadiums. They sit in the land trust. But people want to sit here and talk about, oh man, I don't know about this land trust stuff. I'm not going to do a land trust. But you can invest your time watching someone else perform a land trust in front of you, and they're taking money from you. But you're not going to say, okay, I'm not saying I'm not saying I don't want to give my money to them. But at the same time, how are you not going to save money? Birds of a feather flock together. If they're saving money through not owning the land, but making you watch, or you're watching TV and watching it, why wouldn't you be operating the same way? Because the system is slightly competitive. You got certain people in the system, they're not going to tell you. Certain elites, they're not going to tell you. It's just what it is. They're not trying to tell you. They're not, and they're going to tell you something, but they're going to tell you the wrong information. Oh yeah, make sure you get 8 hours of sleep when you're building your business. It's like, yeah, sure. If you get 8 hours, great for you, but that's not it. Oh yeah, don't do this, don't do that. What are you talking about? You guys were doing all type of stuff when you were building your business. What are you talking about? You took exponential risk. You took risk that an average person would say is unreal risk. Oh man, I know, but that's what you don't want to know if you're not that person. You don't want to know. They're only telling you to protect you from yourself. But think about it. They trying to protect you from yourself. They ain't protecting you from them. Other well-off people are well off. They don't care. That's why it's like odd, because you say, well, why are wealthy people like that? Then why are some wealthy people they'll tell you one thing and do another? Because they have an expectation that you'll figure it out, just like they are doing. They have an expectation that you will figure it out on your own. They don't have a competitive mindset thinking you're going to take anything from them. They know you're not going to take anything from them, or that level of confidence that you're going to have to do quite a bit to take something from them. They don't have that mindset. And so for that reason, it's a mindset. And a lot of times people don't want to hear that part. It's not just always physical. It's not about how much money you got. It's physical. It's mental. Excuses, mental. Excuses, it's mental. It's not physical. It's mental. It's a lot of mindset behind it. How many people want to be mentally and emotionally equipped? The land trust. We know a lot longer than we're supposed to about it, but as y'all can see, we not just talking about it, we being about it. We already know what's going on out here. It ain't no, oh man, trust Christian. We can sit here and talk about this stuff for days. We can show y'all various different environments where land trusts are operating. So it ain't no, oh man, trust Christian. You just went on a tangent. No, we share with you all various sectors where the land trust can operate in. So why would you be discouraged from researching it? But then on the back end of that, are you aware that there's a public and a private side? It's not just, oh, trust Christian, you talking to us like you know it all. Well, do you know there's a public and a private? Are you operating from that capacity? Are you operating from that mindset? Trust Christian is. The rest of us are. Ain't nobody out here just giving out free information. Like trust Christian is because this is something we doing this for legacy. See, people don't really know we doing this for legacy right here. So when people look back and say, "Oh yeah, what did you do? How did you give back?" We gonna go ahead and say it. There are entrepreneurs that give back, and we not gonna sit here and say, "Oh well, you're talking. We not supposed to be doing what you're saying, doing what you're doing." If you see the vault, we've had consistent things throughout the years, and for that reason, you would study the consistencies. Not just what he's talking about. The consistencies, the privacy element, dealing with the right team, always promoting team, always talking about team, bringing on our team, doing workshops, showing that we're around a network, that you got to be around a network of other high net worth investors. That's just bottom line. Oh man, trust Christian, that's what it is. I gotta get around other high net worth investors. Yeah, think about when's the last time you've been around somebody that you know that makes more than $250,000. Then we can keep going. Cause see, and this is why we say it the way we're saying it. First of all, are you just trying to make $250,000 a year? And if your answer is no, then you gotta associate with people that are making more than that. Oh man, for real, man, I gotta jump. You gotta jump. You right. You gotta get around those people. You gotta be selective. It's not, oh man, trust Christian. Well, I don't know anybody. That's all they say. Oh, I don't know. Blah blah. What are you talking about? Like, get on the internet. Start. We were talking to someone about this. We asked a lot of trustees this. A lot of people don't have role models. Some people say, "Oh, trust Christian, man. You're not giving us enough of a role model, man. We don't really see the everyday dress. We don't really see the everyday vigors of being a trustee." Because y'all don't really want to know. Trust Christian has been around trustees that dress up every single day. And they are trustees of families, estates. And they fly. And they know how to carry weapons privately, concealed through airplanes and things of that nature. And people say, "Oh, how do I get on an airplane with this and that and blah blah?" It's like, I don't want to have the government, man. They in control of everything. No, they're not. Private people are moving around, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the advantage Trust Christian has, is he's seen it. Sometimes people need to see it too. Oh man, I need to see the trustees. I can't dress up like that every day, Trust Christian. I can't dress up. I'm not trying to dress up. Why I gotta dress up? What you talking about? Dress up, man. I want to wear some of the checks and the Nikes and all that stuff. It's like, okay, we don't know our mentors to wear none of that. What you talking about? Our mentors, they worked out in private. That's y'all want to go there? Y'all want to talk like that? Let's talk. Because the mentors we talking about, we're not talking about they on the internet showing you that they at the gym and telling you why you need to get your health together. The mentors, they didn't tell us. They did it. They showed it to us. We've seen mentors where we pulled up to their house and they're just finishing the workout and they're getting themselves together for a meeting, and they change and they come in with the proper business attire to deal with men and women in business fashion. Not slacking. But hey, some people say, "Oh man, Trust Christian, that's a bit much for us, man. That's a bit much." Exactly. And that's fine. But for some of the ones that are like, "Yo, Trust Christian, I'm trying to take this to the highest level I could go. I'm looking to be in the upper echelon." Okay, look. Some people think they're going to do it their way. But it's interesting to know, right? If you're going to do it your way, the way the mentors explained it to us said, "Trust Christian, success leaves clues." So we'll end on this. The success leaving clues is, trust Christian, even if you don't listen to the terms, the words. Oh, I'm not listening to what he say. But you do listen to the consistencies, the business club, the country club, the team, developing your skills and your value. Knowing the system that you operating with, understanding that it is a system, getting comfortable with the system, treating it as a system, developing a system, understanding that there's a uniform for the position, for the role, for the duty that you're fulfilling as a trustee or otherwise. That's just the reality of it. So people don't know, "Oh man, Trust Christian, that's one dimensional." But then they don't want to know, okay, there is a health component to it. there is a spiritual component to it. We're not disacknowledging that. We're not here to just talk about money. But we can sit here and say that yes, there is a spiritual component to it. It's being a holistic person. People don't want to hear that though. Cause oh man, trust Christian, I gotta take risks then. I gotta do some extreme stuff. I can't do what conventional wisdom told me to do. I can't do what the school system told me to do. Cause if that's the case, you're gonna get what everybody else got. So the ones of us that's willing to take the wild coyote risk, that's why we have the wild coyote lifestyle. It's just the reality. And we encourage the rest of you all to Trust Christian is excited about you all living your dreams. If it's righteous, then we look forward to seeing what you go end up creating and what you bring into the world. But some people, they don't really feel like they bring anything to the world, or they don't have anything, so that's the case. But in all actuality, we're excited to work with many individuals that uh, that they understand that knowledge is power, and then executing knowledge is even more powerful. So we appreciate big time the chat, tune in live, listen to replay. Thanks chat for communicating back and forth with us. Always appreciate you guys tuning in live, listen to replay. Everybody listen to episode this long. We do our best to do episodes more like inspired episodes about things that we talk about with trustees, things that come up in consultations and things of that nature. So you could be the next story. Yeah. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. We'll just go ahead and end on a very positive note, ladies and gentlemen. We're just gonna let y'all know, like, trust Christian in the vault behind closed doors, ladies and gentlemen. The times for your family to have generational wealth in the world is right now, and it's a hard pill for people to swallow because there's a lot of distractions going on. A lot of people don't want to hear that. It's this thing called a distraction. Some people at the FIFA World Cup. If you not retired, why would you be at the FIFA World Cup? This is generational wealth time. If you not at $100 million, if you're not at $1 billion, how are you even watching it? You can rerun it. You can rerun it. It's not like you betting on it. If you bet on it, great. But if you're not betting on it, ladies and gentlemen, we're just gonna go ahead and share with y'all. Like, we love the culture, but at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, wealth culture is just focused on preservation right now, because there are some things on the horizon that you want to make sure that your family's fortified for. And if you don't feel like that's the case, then that's fine. But we can share with y'all, when we talk about wealth preservation, we're not talking about it, we're living it. And right now, wealth preservation is at an all-time high. It's just the facts. That means the security of the money, not just the preservation of it. The security of the money. Where is it being stored? Y'all want to sit here and act like, oh, gold didn't rise for a reason. Gold rose for a reason. Silver rose for a reason. So when we talk about wealth preservation right now, hey, we're going to go ahead and say it for what it is. Some people like, oh man, Trust Christian, oh man, I don't really know, Trust Christian, I don't really know. All right, hey, you don't know. But the ones of y'all that have an idea, we're just going to go ahead and share with y'all. Please make it a point to lock in on what we're talking about right now, which is the generational wealth. If you're saying it, some people may say, oh man, is it 24/7? Is your money supposed to be 24/7? Then hey, it's 24/7. And we comfortable with saying that. Especially to the ones that get on the line and say, oh, Trust Christian, I want to have a $50 million family trust estate. I want to have all this big boy money. Well, we'll go ahead and tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen, we sit in the rooms, we sit at the tables. There's nothing wrong with saying you putting in 7 days a week. Why? Because you're not going to regret it. No one's going to regret it. No one's going to be mad that you put in the time for the family estate. And for all the goofballs over the internet, even a billionaire is lying to you, telling no one's going to remember your name in 3 generations. Stop paying attention to these internet dummies. First of all, do you know the name J.D. Rockefeller? Do you know the last name Rothschilds? Do you know the last name Carnegie? All right, don't play dumb out here. Do y'all know the last name Clinton? Do y'all know the last name Kennedy? Don't let these internet goofballs try to tell you whatever you do is not going to matter in 2 to 3 generations. That's why they're in the position they're in. And if you don't want to be in that position, go ahead, hop on a horse, and ride that puppy into the ground. Make sure that people 2 or 3 generations, they have a reason to remember your name, because you were willing to put in 7 days a week, not because you were on a cotton field, but because you understood that it did matter, and people 2 or 3 generations from now, they appreciated it. Your grandchildren appreciate it. Your great grandchildren appreciate it. Your great everybody says, "Oh, I want to give my kids what I didn't have." What's that? A job? Peace and joy.